I'm really not a money motivated person. Like, I've never been a gambler. Occasionally for fun, but I'm not a gambler. I've never played the lottery. I never got into like big investing and stuff like that. I'm happy if I got my bills paid. If I go with family and friends, I could just pick up the check. I could coast for a couple of months without worrying about my bills. That's really all I want. If I had Elon Musk money, I have no idea what I would do with it. And the biggest joy I get, right, where I get my jollies, is resurrecting stuff. I like to take things that other people have cast aside, or things that other people consider to be junk, and craft them into something that's usable, that's viable, that's fun, something that you can make a profit off of. And this Jeep, this XJ that we've been working on, this thing has me absolutely giddy. Because today I finally got to spend some time with it. We buttoned it up a couple of days ago, but it's been sitting. And today I jumped in it this morning and I put about 100 miles on the thing. And it is absolutely flawless, ready to hit the road and hopefully tow our stuff to the track. We'll find that out soon enough. But anyway, I want to talk about flipping. I want to talk about turning your hobby into, and we've done videos like this before, but I want to use this as a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Using your hobby, your skill, your knowledge, your ambition to turn a profit and do it in an honest way, because flipping has a bad connotation. So, he's a flipper. Yeah, a flipper by nature is somebody who just like hustles, right? Get this thing and just pass it off to the next person without giving, a second thought to what kind of issues you're passing off to this thing, or even worse, hiding those issues. That's thievery. Flipping can be a good, honest way to make a living in our hobby. There's absolutely nothing wrong with picking up a vehicle that needs work, whatever it happens to need, doing the work, going through it, front to back, taking whatever steps are necessary to turn it into a viable vehicle and sell it for a profit. It's the best way for a guy who's into cars to supplement his income and be able to afford the more exotic or expensive things that he really wants. I see it on the comments all the time. Everything's so expensive. I've been priced out of the classic car hobby. People want a fortune for this, that, and the other thing. Can't afford it. And I totally get it. A lot of you guys are up against it. You work as much as you can work. You make as much as you can make. You got bills to pay. You got a family to feed. You got inflation. Inflation is always tearing at your ass, right? Here's an honest, viable way that you could turn around and make some honest money. Supplement your hobby and be able to afford those cooler things. Or, like me, end up with a vehicle that you're going to use. All right, so let's go back real quick and I'll recap this because it's important for the context of all. I want to show you what we have, what we started with, and I'm going to show you how much I have into this thing. So we've already talked about all of this several times. Picked up this Jeep about 4 months ago off of Facebook Marketplace. It was listed as needed an engine. So got wanted $1,000 the best offer. I go to look at it. Turns out his kid I think was like Batman or something. I found stuff in this Jeep I'm still scratching my head over. But anyway, kid got stuck with it. They towed it to a mechanic couldn't get it running. They towed it home. They had another couple of mechanics come and look at it. Nobody could get it running, so then they listed it on Marketplace as needing an engine. All right, so when I go to look at this thing, it is a mess, okay? It's been sitting in this backyard under trees for, I don't know, months, maybe even years. I don't know how long it's sat. But it's covered front to back in like mold and grime and dirt and everything else. It has a very roachy appearance. I look inside, the interior's got all kinds of stuff scattered all over the place. And I looked at this and I says, right, for $750, this is a good parts vehicle. So I worked the deal with the guy. I says, fine, I'll just dive this in my back lot, and if I need to pick up parts or whatever, it's there. But I bring it back to the shop, and I look this thing over good, and it has zero rust. I mean, it's like brand new underneath. So I'm like, huh. So then I start cleaning off little sections of it, and I see that underneath all that grime and gack, the paint is good. And in the interior, you take all that garbage out of there, and yeah, the seats are, one of the seats is a little, driver's seat is a little, but the rest of it's nice. It's just filthy. So I says, all right, let me try to get this thing running and see what we got. So play around with the engine, and I noticed right away that the bottom of the distributor had broken off. So now I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to the damage that was the engine damage on this car. So I'll just tell you how I came across it. So bottom of the distributor is broken. I run a pull apart, I get a distributor, and it was missing the crow's foot that holds it down. So I get that stuff, I drop it in there, crank it, motor fires up. It sounds good, but it runs rough. So then we determine it has a blown head gasket between cylinders number 3 and 4. We did that video. Now, like I said, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. So many different hands were involved in this thing that I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. So I says, at that point, I got it running. Let me take it for a ride. It runs okay, even on 4 cylinders, but the steering is good, the suspension is good, the brakes are good, the air conditioning works. It's a good running Jeep. It just needs a head gasket. So we did the head gasket on it. And now I finally buttoned everything together, and she's up, running, beautiful, functional, and I want to go over how much we've got into this thing and show you the potential, what can be, all right? So here, I wrote all of this down. Okay. All right, so here's the whole breakdown of everything that went into this. We paid $750 for it. Right, now it had these giant wheels on it. It had giant wheels and adapters for them. So we sold those on Marketplace for $200. And we also had this like overlanding roof rack on it. And I sold that for $50 on Marketplace. So our $750 minus $250, we're into the actual vehicle for $500. Now, right there, I could have cut the cat out of it, right, and scrapped it and sold the cat and made my money back, and it would have been a total break-even deal. So right there, it was at $750. This is like a zero gamble, proposition. But now we're going to get it running. So now I rounded everything off to the nearest $25, and all of these parts are a combination of local auto parts store and Rock Auto. Okay, so distributor and hold down, pull apart, $25. Now I had sold the original wheels that were on here. I picked up a set of Wrangler wheels for $100. So they're just regular stock Jeep wheels. Now the head gasket, so between the gaskets, the liquids, oil, antifreeze, right, surfacing, $300. I picked up a set of brakes for it, $50. And the AC compressor was working, but it was making a racket, so I swapped that out. So I paid $150 for the AC compressor and the Freon through Rock Auto. And then this morning, obviously we need to put wheels on it. The tires that were on these wheels were toast. So this morning I ran over to the tire shop, and I had 4 new tires mounted, balanced, the whole 10 yards for $475. So our total investment in this Jeep is the $500 plus $1,100. We're into it for $1,600. Now I'm not counting the trailer brake parts because that's specific to what I'm going to do with it. I'm just trying to go over the investment in making this thing a running viable vehicle. So $1,600. Let's throw another $25 worth of cleaning materials in there, right? But okay, that's splitting hairs. But the point is, they did have to clean it. So what do I have into this thing? I have $1,600 into it. How much time? So finding it, checking it out, dragging it back to the shop, diagnosing it, repairing it. If you were to string all of those hours together, I probably have 3 full days in it, right? Ballpark. Now, what's it worth? I got 3 days of my labor and $1,600 of my money in this Jeep. Now, it's a rust-free, running, driving XJ. Can I get $5,000 for this? I see it in much worse condition than this, selling for in that range. So can I get $5,000? Can I get $6,000? Remember, this thing is rust-free. If I get $6,000 for this, no, forget about that. If I get $5,000 for this, minus my $1,600, that's a $3,400 profit. 3 days worth of work. That's over $1,000 a day worth of profit. Do that once a month. Do that once a month, and in a year you'll be able to afford any hot rod, any muscle car you want. Or like me, you've got a cool vehicle that's clean, usable, happy to hit the road, ready to go for $1,600. There's no excuses not to do this. The gambles are small. The money, we're talking about small money. I know if you're up against it, you're trying to pay the bills, the prospect of $750 layout and investing money on top of that, I know it seems like a lot. But man, there's nothing ventured, nothing gained. You have to do a little gambling in this world. And the closer, I did a whole video on this, the closer you buy to zero, or the closer you buy to your scrap price, the less risk there is. Because like I said, I could have paid $750 for this thing, drag it home, determine it, oh no, it's toast. Engine's bad, transmission's bad, rear end's bad, the electrical system's all whacked, right? It's toast. I could have parted it out right away. I got $250 for the wheels and the roof rack that were on it. That leaves $500 to cover. I could have cut the cat off. I get the money for that. I could have drove this over to scales, and my $750 would have come back. You know, I wouldn't have made anything, but again, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? There's no excuse to not go out there and do some hunting, do some homework. You know, you got to use your head, you know, you got to buy right. You know, the old thing, and I've said this before, you don't make your money when you sell something. You make your money when you buy it. And then where you go from there. And I guess with flipping, I know it has a bad connotation, but flipping could be a good, honest, viable way to enjoy your hobby and finance those more exotic and elaborate things that you really want. But be honest about it. Be honest about it. If you're going to buy something to turn it over to the next person, make sure you're giving them an honest, viable vehicle. And if there are issues, let them know. Let them know, right? I know. Who's a saint, right? Okay, you're not a saint, but you could try to aspire maybe to lean in that direction, yeah? And make profit at the same time. I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you tomorrow.